Hey, what's up? My name is Brent Pierce. I own a podcast studio. I made another video showing off our other podcast set, so I figured I would make this video to show off this set. This is the set that we call the Nook. We have various clients that come through here, and the Nook is designed as a table talk podcast set, right? It's designed for two people to sit at a table face to face and talking. We've also used this set for up to 6 people. It gets a little bit cramped in here, but it worked. We made it work. So yeah, let's go over the setup. So first off, you will notice this table. This was kind of the first thing we got here, and that is simply a dining room table from IKEA. Various decorations back there. It was just stuff that I had, stuff that I found on Facebook Marketplace. That's also an IKEA room divider with some lights behind it. I'll get to the lights here in a second. There's a rug down there that we hide cables under. The cables go out the wall here to the control room. And the first thing I did when I got into this space was treat the acoustics. There was no soft surfaces in here when we moved in. The floors are hard, the walls are hard. The ceiling is drop ceiling, so that definitely helps, but it was still pretty echoey. So step number 1 that I did was I put up curtains. I put up curtains back there. I put a rug down here. I put acoustic panels over here, and there are also some really thin acoustic panels over here. These are mainly just for decorations. You're not gonna see much of a benefit by adding these. You'll see a little bit, but definitely not like adding a curtain. This set of curtains covers up a window. And if we pull this back, you'll see that there's actually another curtain behind it. And this is a big, thick moving blanket that I got from a company called Vocal Booths to Go. So I have a bunch of those moving blankets, and they're great for blocking out windows. It helps block the sound. It definitely blocks the light and all that. So between the curtains and the carpet and the acoustic panels, this room sounds a whole lot better than it did when we first moved in. Moving on to the audio, these are Rode pod mics. These are the USB versions. So I think they're $200 each. We got a couple of them. They came with windscreens initially. I took the windscreens off and actually used it in our other set to cover up the silver mesh that is on the original pod mics. But yeah, these are great. I like them. I know the standard is the Shure SM7Bs, but these are a great, cheaper alternative. The XLR cables go through these arms here. These are Elgato low profile arms. They're great. I love them. If you're doing a table setup like this, I would highly recommend getting these arms. Like I said, the cables go under the table. There's a bunch of zip ties under there that help manage all the cables. There's also a headphone cable here if the client chooses to use headphones. All those cables go under this rug, out this hole to the control room. All right, so let's talk lighting. In here, we have a fill light up top just to kind of provide a good, over the top, soft light on everything. There are 2 key lights in the back. And I got a comment on the last video of somebody asking why the lights are pointed towards the cameras, right? Because the cameras are over here, pointed at that guy there. And so I like using my key lights on the opposite side of the camera. And that is kind of like cinematography lighting 101 is to put your key light on the opposite side of the camera. So you're lighting their face on the opposite side of the camera. So if they're looking, let me see if I can do this elegantly here. If this guy is looking at him, we want his key light shining on this side of his face, right? So it would create a nice shadow on this closed side. Same with this guy over here. We're lighting that guy there. If he's looking this way, we want his key light on the opposite side. And that is just kind of cinematography 101. If you can do it that way, do it. But if you don't have the space to do it, you obviously don't have to light it that way. You can always front light them and it'll still get the job done. But whenever I can use the key lights on the opposite side, I do that. There's also a little light up there, and that is shining through a gobo, creating those shadows back there. It's very dark and kind of bland back there without the light, so you can kind of see the the shapes that it makes back there. These key lights are cheaper 100-watt lights. I think the brand is GVM. They get the job done. And this light up here is an Amaran 200D with a 5-foot softbox. The key lights have 3-foot softboxes. They all have grids. You'll see that there are grids on the softboxes, and that's just to help control the spill from the lights. Otherwise, those lights would just fill the whole room, and the whole room would be kind of too bright, and you want to be able to control that soft light. So that's what those grids are. I mounted these lights to the wall up there. When I first started, I simply had them on C-stands, but obviously you don't want C-stands in the shots. So when I found out exactly kind of where I wanted them, I mounted them using these wall brackets, and those things work great. You can still adjust the light, if you need to, but for the most part, they're out of the way. There's a bunch of safety cables up there. Always use safety cables. The power cable goes up into the drop ceiling, and I installed outlets up there, and there's one on the other side of the room. So I can plug stuff into the outlet up there and power them, and all of that runs off this light switch. So if we turn it off and we turn it back on, you'll see that it kind of powers up, and that's great. Again, I like doing that because I don't want to have to turn on a bunch of light switches every single time I want to run a podcast. If you can simplify as much as you can to just put it all on one switch, I think that's the way to go. The last thing you want is to spend 5 minutes having to boot up the podcast. You want it to be like within 15 to 20 seconds, you're ready to record. This light is mounted to the ceiling using drop ceiling clamps. You know what, let me climb up there and I can show you. Okay, so here is my little clamp setup for this light. This is a pretty heavy light, so I knew I wanted to use 2 of these clamps because these clamps are nice, but if you put a bunch of weight on them, I would not trust that. So we got 2 of them. We got one there and we got one there, and I just used C-stand clamps there to mount this white rod. That's just an aluminum closet rack rod from Home Depot. And then I clamped the light onto it with a super clamp right there. And everything is safety cabled, right? The softbox is safety cabled to the pole. The light is safety cabled to the drop ceiling. And then the gobo light over there is just on one drop ceiling clamp. So that is that light. If we move back here and look at this lighting, you'll see there's just a cheap lamp from IKEA. This is an old film light that I got off eBay, and I took out the guts and just put an LED strip in there. So I don't know, it's kind of cool decoration. And then the lights behind this are just simply Amazon lights that can change color. And they're pointed, just pointed straight out to the camera through the room divider. So yeah, that is basically this podcast set. We shoot these podcasts with 3 cameras. We run it into a switcher. We run the mics into an audio board. I went over that last time, so I'm not gonna do it this video, but if you're interested in that, check out the other video. I talk about the cameras, the switchers, all the other stuff that it takes to run a show. And yeah, it's been great running a podcast studio. We record various shows. I also have my own show where I talk to other studio owners. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It's called Beyond the Studio. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, let me know. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Bye.